Aloha.
Shout out Pearl Harbor, by the way.
Hello and welcome. We're back from theballerlifestyle.com. It's the Baller Lifestyle Podcast. My name is Brian Beckner. This is episode number 616 of the program. Appreciate you joining us. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to reach out, you can leave us a voicemail, 949-464-TBLS. You can also send us an email, mailbag@theballerlifestyle.com. We appreciate you listening. Also subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/theballerlifestylepodcast. There's a new bonus bri up there right now that people seem to like, where it's just me listing things that I hate. Jelly roll, flower crown, skinny margaritas, polyamory, yacht rock, Huntington Beach, spoken word, couples workouts. This is just a small list. Apple Watches. It's fun. Patreon.com/theballerlifestylepodcast. I am joined now, as always, by the great, dear friend of mine, co-host of the program, the great Mr. Ed Daly. Ed, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. I don't want to spoil your bonus bri stuff, but you're talking about couples workouts, and I feel strongly about this. So of
course.
No go.
Yeah, no, fuck couples workouts.
When I see couples running together, I'm like incensed. What are you doing?
What is going on? What are you doing? Do that on your own. Look, hey, you guys want to go to the gym at the same time? You go to the gym, you split off and go do your thing.
You do your own thing.
Right.
Because there should be no couples that are at the same pace, same weights, same. It's
of course.
Everyone's built differently. Like, do your own thing.
Yes. 100%, 110%. And look, Ed, sometimes they'll wear matching outfits. They'll dress alike, like it's their thing to do the workout together. Now I get like, hey, look, what if you're into yoga or whatever? You guys can go to the same yoga class. That's fine, but that's a group participation event. But when you set up and you go, hey, we're gonna go down to the park.
The same.
Yeah, we're gonna run 400s, and then we're gonna do body weight squats, and then we're gonna do a 2-minute rest, and then we're gonna run another 400, and that's what and then we're gonna go get a smoothie. Put smoothies on the list.
And then go home and do some murder suicide together.
Yes, exactly.
That's
Calm down. Have your own things. Do your own thing.
So speaking of dressing alike, this past Friday, there was like admitted students day at my son's future college, and I'm sitting in one. They split the kids and the parents off.
Is that in Rhode Island?
It is Providence,
Providence, Rhode Island. Is that a train ride from you? Like, can you visit on the weekends? I don't know the geography. Because
of the way we just don't treat trains properly in this country. It's an expensive train ride. Like it is. But like Amtrak, it was like $2 something each way.
Whoa.
Like way too much money.
Whoa. Okay. So
so we drove. It's a 3.5 hour drive, and then it's like pseudo orientation, but not because they still have that in the summer. Anyway, I'm sitting at one of these presentations for the parents.
Yeah.
And the mom and dad are wearing the exact same thing.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Like the exact same outfit.
Describe the outfit. It's like khakis and a polo shirt.
No, like it was like a black shirt with like the same stripe on it, and so I'm not paying attention to what they're right in front of me. I'm not paying attention to what the presentation is about, because I'm just running through what happened, what's going on, and then when we go to break, they start talking to each other. And they had a very West African accent, and I thought, maybe that's just how it's done. But like, it distracted me for like 25 minutes because I'm like, What could they be doing? Why the
Now I feel bad because they're wearing like tribal. They're wearing like tribal garb, Ed.
Yeah, and I'm judging, and then I'm like, oh, okay, this is on me. This is on me.
Well, but normally it isn't because we're conditioned. You know, the wife she'll have like a set of muumuus, and the husband will have a matching floral shirt that goes with the muumuu, and they're like, honey, we're wearing the Sunday set today, right? You know, we're going to brunch and we're gonna dress alike. And what is that? What is it?
Yeah, I don't know.
What's going on?
It was baffling to me.
Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, Ed, let's talk about, you know what's crazy is that people die all the time. Let's talk about some of them. Just tell us who was dead now. Just tell us who was dead now. It's a sad segment. Very sad. And it will not be an update on who's alive. Nope. Let's get a tragic update. Tragic update. Cause Ed Daly has been keeping up on who just died. Yep. Cause we're about to hear from Ed on which celebrities are dead. So tell me who died. Who died? Who died? Ed, tell us who died.
I assume this one hurts a little bit extra in your neck of the woods.
Sure.
But I definitely had this guy's baseball cards.
Of course.
R.I.P. to the great base-stealing stud, Davey Lopes, 4-time All-Star, Dodger infielder, 80 years old. He was dealing with Alzheimer's and Parkinson's towards the end.
Oh, that's a real double up. Yeah. That's not what you want. What a mustache on this man. Now, Davey Lopes, I'll have to be honest. I'm more of a Sachs guy because Davey Lopes is just a little before my time. He got traded in like 1980.
I feel like I had his baseball cards at like the end of his career, right? We were just getting into baseball as he's wrapping it up.
That's right. Yeah. Davey Lopes, what a stash, base stealer. And also like came along at a time because look, that's Lopez. It just ends with an S instead of a Z, you know, but like back then, impossible.
We give him the Ellis Island treatment.
Yeah.
Oh, you're Lopes.
Lopes. No, we're calling you. It's Lopez. No, you're Lopes. R.I.P. Davey Lopes. Good dude.
R.I.P. Garrett Anderson, stud Angels outfielder, only 53 years old. I didn't see a cause of death, like discovered in his bedroom or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, but like that guy was like, the Angels won a World Series with him as like one of their best players. He was very good.
He was one of those guys. Ago. Yeah, he was one of those guys where he's like not a Hall of Fame player, but he's like just that tier right below. Right. Like he was one of the best outfielders for 12 years, you know, with a lot of doubles, a lot of home runs. I believe this might have been like a myocardial infarction situation, Ed, like a widowmaker where his just heart exploded at home. Very sad. Sounds like he was just a really nice guy and just way too young to die. R.I.P. Garrett Anderson.
R.I.P. Oscar the Holy Hand Schmidt. If you watched Olympic basketball like in the 80s, he was the Brazilian scoring. Yeah. He's the all-time Olympic basketball scorer. Yeah. 68. He had a brain tumor. He was like the old school before everybody's an NBA player. He was the guy. Oscar
there
Schmidt.
There was a time where like he probably played in like 4 or 5 Olympics, you know, where it's just like the national team was just like the national team. Like that was you were just always on the national team for years and years and years. It was just like
the Sabonis dad. Yes. That dude was another guy. We wouldn't see him. He came to the NBA at like the very end of his career. But he was just known for the Olympics. We just see him ripping it up.
That dude just knocking down 16-footers. And he was kind of like the original Jokic. Like he was just
like a stretch big man.
Yes. Could do it all. He could just do it all. Like wasn't athletic, but like, you know, he didn't rely on his athleticism, Ed. I think, you know, coach's kid, first in, last out, you know, like that kind of
led the league in floor burns.
Yes. Who else, Ed?
RP Dave McGinnis, former Arizona Cardinals head coach, 74. Yeah. I just remember he presided over some terrible teams.
Yeah,
but
he sure did.
You know, I'm sure he was a nice guy.
Sure.
RIP Browning Nagel, former Louisville star quarterback, and then I think he was a first-round pick of the Jets. 57, colon cancer. Get the colonoscopies, boys.
Get the colonoscopy. Also,
it's not as bad as you think it's going to be.
It's really
the prep. You just kind of get used to it after a couple hours. You're just like, whatever.
Sucks. Yeah, it's the starving yourself that sucks. You know, it's
you're more bored and hungry.
Yeah. Yeah. My buddy Chad, fan, he just did like an 84-hour fast. And it's like, and it's like because he's like trying to be strong in his mind or whatever. I could barely do the 24 of the fucking colonoscopy, like 3 days. Like, get the fuck out of here. And Browning Nagel, that's just one of those names, right? Like, what a name. Browning. Who could forget Browning Nagel? Yes. RIP. Very sad. Get checked for that, guys.
R.I.P. John Nolan. He was an actor from Christopher Nolan's Batman movies. Like, he had like 1 or 2 lines. 87 years old, and classic. I think he worked in like Nolan's first student film, and he's like, oh, now I've got a big budget.
Were they related? They're the same last name.
Oh yeah, that's true. There's probably a connection. Uncle
cousin.
John or whatever.
Yeah.
But all right, R.I.P. Roger Adams. He was the inventor of the sneakers with wheels called Heelys. 71, pancreatic cancer. I feel like Heelys came about when I was already like in my 20s, so it wasn't for me. But I remember an era where seeing you'd be at the mall and you'd see kids zipping around.
Yeah,
it was a lot of concussions.
Right. It was after your time and before your kids' time. Yes. So it was just a window that you missed where it was like a little wheel in the heel of the shoe that was like spring loaded. So if you lifted your heel up a little bit, the wheel would pop out and you could roll like fucking down the sidewalk on your heels. Yeah. This is the precursor. Yeah. This is the precursor to the hoverboards, where people are just breaking teeth left and right. RIP. I imagine this guy, I mean, unless he got fucked over like the Super Soaker guy or the Nerf gun or the lady that drew the Nike swoosh, I imagine this guy had a couple of bucks at the end. RIP pancreatic cancer, the worst cancer.
The worst. The game is up.
The end.
And I feel like this last one probably hits harder with Jay Stu. I don't know if we got him talking about this, but it just feels like his kind of thing. But RIP to Valerie Lee, one of the last surviving munchkins of the Wizard of Oz, 94 years old. And you feel like he's probably like way into it and we just don't talk about it.
Let's text him. I don't want to get him on the phone because he's probably out there hiking, but maybe we'll get an answer by the end of the show. I'm gonna include you. I'm gonna do a group thing here at Daily.
And don't you feel like the munchkins have they must live a little extra long?
Well, it's kind of like really tall guys don't live, because the heart's got to pump all that blood, all that distance. Like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he's 79. Yeah, he's like a miracle. Come on, 79 years old. He's like 7'1" or something. It's got to pump that fucking blood all the way. But if you got a little compact body, if you're taking care of it, unlike Vern Troyer, if Vern Troyer's saturating his little tiny liver with Rumpelmans every day.
Rock's little guy.
Right.
Remember that guy?
Fuck. I think it's like a little guy dancing little Joe or something. Yeah. Boy,
or Hank the angry drunken dwarf.
They tend to drink, Ed. It's because
remember there were a lot of stories. It doesn't sound like Valerie Lee was one of them, but those munchkins got really aggressive with Judy Garland on the set.
Yeah. Now, do you think? I imagine though, if they're grabbing the star of the movie and trying to finger her and grab her tits and stuff, well, they're doing that to the lady munchkins as well. That's not just exclusive.
You think Valerie was on the business end of
she had it tough. Yeah, because also
she has some memories.
Their size, like if you're a normal sized person and a munchkin comes up and tries to fuck with you, you just flick it away. You're get the fuck out of here, you little munchkin. But if you're the size, it's like, would you rather fight 100 ducks or 100-foot duck? You want to flick away just kick them away. Yeah, there's a lot of them, but they're small. If you're the same size as it can get you. It can get you. And this poor Valerie Lee, she was getting got. Okay. Okay, hold on. Are you a fan of The Wizard of Oz?
Who isn't?
Right. And I'm going to say, I don't know if this
I
will
think there was a
poison the well here.
time when I was like 6 that I was into it.
No, it's terrifying. The monkey thing is so scary, Ed, because it used to like come on TV.
Fly!
Yeah, it used to come on TV.
It was like a once a year thing on TV. It was like an event.
It was an event, and you'd watch it on TV, and it was fucking so scary because it is kind of like it's made like in the 30s or something. It's so old. Yeah. Is it the first? Because it's black and white, and then it turns color. Yeah, I think it was like the first color movie or something. It was like a feat of filmmaking that it was like unbelievable that they could do this back then.
You know what also was a feat of filmmaking? Birth of a Nation. Like we don't have to have to love it just because it was a big deal at the time.
Yeah. I mean, you discussed on this show, there's if you want to look back in the archives here, you could look up Ed Explains a Movie, Gone with the Wind, which is
I think that came out around the same time.
Yeah, around the same time. Very troubling and also like 3.5 hours long for some reason.
Never ended.
Like crazy. Okay, hold on. Are you a fan of The Wizard of Oz? Seems like something. No, I'll just do YN and see if because I like doing YN. I'm just going to do YN and see if he answers YN or if he pontificates. Okay, YN.
Give him the opportunity.
Yeah. I don't want to feed him too much. Are you a fan of The Wizard of Oz? Okay. What's next here? Gotta consult. Oh, here's where we talk about sports. Let's talk about some sports.
My name is Brian. They call me the other guy. I host a podcast show. I'll give hetero life a try. If you see something on my hand that makes you think I'm not a man, it's just my cool rings, you see. They're as sparkly as can be. A my old Troy on DVD.
Ed, when you go to Providence, is there a lot of like Farrelly brothers? Is there a statue like Phil Lynott in Dublin?
I saw a cop had pulled over somebody on the side of the road, and I was expecting it to be Charlie from Me, Myself, and Irene.
Now were we fed a bill of goods on the Farrelly brothers? Because like, there was Dumb and Dumber.
There were 3 movie stretch where I really liked them.
Top of the fucking game.
Me, Myself, and Irene was very funny. Obviously, there's something about Mary and Dumb and Dumber.
So good.
But then they've devolved into Green Book and shit like that.
The Dumb and Dumber. So something about Mary.
I never watched the sequel.
Something about Mary may be the most I've ever laughed out loud in a movie theater, to the point where I remember like telling people about it and going, we got to go see. And I went back and saw it again. Like I would never do that. Yes. So good. So funny. Just groundbreakingly like R-rated dirty comedy. Amazing. Dumb and Dumber. Same. Just amazing movie. Then I went back and saw they made a sequel to Dumb and Dumber. And I was like,
didn't watch it.
Oh my God, Ed. It's like 5 minutes into the movie, and forgive me for saying this. Okay. I'm just describing something I saw. Spoiler alert. I don't know another way to describe this, Ed. There's a period blood joke like 5 minutes into the movie. And I'm like, no one thinks this is fun. Like, this is not funny. And I'm like, what happened? And then, they're doing Green Book. And it's like,
another good movie of theirs, Kingpin.
Yes.
Kingpin was a good movie.
Another classic. Never laughed harder. Never laughed harder than watching Kingpin. Bought the DVD. I had all the DVDs of all these movies. I used to throw on Me, Myself, and Irene with the outtakes plugged into the movie where you could see the jokes that got left out. They're so funny. And then these guys, is it that they just start smelling their own farts and they're just I think
Green Book is the ultimate, like, hey, I'm going to make an important movie where the white savior.
Yes.
Like, what is that?
Yes. Jason's responded, sure, period, purely for nostalgic reasons. What does that even mean? No, it's just a problem with Jason. That's even more confusing.
That's the most Jason answer.
It is purely for nostalgic reasons. What? So is it a good? Is it? Now I got to ask another question. Is it a good movie? Why and not see? I said, are you a fan? And that's on me. Is it a good movie? Why and? Okay, Ed, what's going on? What happened in sports this week?
Okay. The big thing that happened, it was probably more last week, but clearly a private investigator was camped out near an Arizona luxury hotel.
Sedona. Yeah.
Sedona. Yeah, I've been to Sedona. Beautiful.
Beautiful. It's where a bunch of like hippies.
It's where hippies, yeah. They make trinkets on the side of the road.
It's right. It's there's a lot of aliens there. There's beautiful red rocks. And you know what it is, Ed? It's a place you have to have the intention to go. So it's like you gotta go.
It's not a happenstance thing.
No, you gotta go, you gotta fly to an airport, you gotta rent a car, you gotta drive a couple hours, and then you're like in seclusion where it's like it's upscale, but you're not gonna run into your neighbor or somebody you went to college with.
No.
You know, like you're alone. And if you're looking to have sex with somebody quietly, this is the type of place you go. Yes. You know, you escape because it's like, oh, you could go to St. Bart's. You know, people are gonna see, the Virgin Islands, Hawaii, like Cabo San Lucas. That's on my list. Cabo, fuck Cabo. But like the places like that, it's like there's places where you could get recognized. Sedona, you think there's any fucking Pats fans in Sedona? These people are looking for aliens. So they're
looking for either aliens or a little like pot with a picture of a pueblo on it. Like that's
yes.
That's what they're looking for.
One of those little painted, one of those little painted things
for the pueblo.
Yeah. That you donate a couple. You have it in your house for a while, and then you're like, "What? This thing's getting dusty." You donate it to the Goodwill. Yes,
what am I supposed to do with this pueblo?
What do I do with this?
The Goodwill can take care of it. So anyway,
yes.
Two people that were doing some pottery shopping just happened to run into each other. New England Patriots head coach Mike Vrabel and athletic reporter Diana Russini, and they were caught holding hands, intertwining fingers, hugging, sharing a hot tub. And her line was, I was on a girls' trip. Yet, and it's been pointed out many times, there's never been a girls' trip where there are no pictures of the rest of the girls. Never.
The girls. Yeah, where's the girls?
None could be produced. Both are married with kids, young kids.
Young kids. Oh, yeah.
I think young kids. And, the heat was, because people are like, look, whatever is going on in both your marriages is one thing, but like this for ethics in journalism.
That's the problem.
And she had she voted Drake May as the MVP. She voted Vrabel as head coach of the year. And she's the only person that was reporting that there's strong links between the Patriots and AJ Brown.
Yeah.
And it's like,
inside info.
Yeah, all this shit, it's not good. So her fellow reporters were like, yeah, it's not a good look. Like they were not rushing to her defense. She's since resigned.
Yeah. Like Adam Schefter, he'll suck off a GM, but he does it on the down low, like he's getting his info from these agents, and he's doing some quid pro quo, but he spreads it around, he's not just doing one team. He does the whole league.
So there's speculation on who hired the private investigator, because nobody with their cell phone is like, hey, I happen to have this perfect angle at the rooftop hot tub and shit like that.
This part. Yeah.
So many say it's her husband, but then some are saying could be the Eagles. The Eagles could be like, hey, she's blowing shit up for our star receiver that we're trying to get value for. Yeah. And she's angling it that he has to go to the Patriots.
People know around the league. You think it was a secret that JFK and his brother were fucking Marilyn Monroe? That was no secret. It was well known amongst the group, but you had an understanding. Now, if you got an understanding in the league, hey, look, I'm gonna fuck the head coach. If so, you gotta play by the rules, or else the Eagles are gonna fuck you over.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I like that idea.
I'm hoping we find out that there was another team that was involved with this thing, but Vrabel just took his team to the Super Bowl, so he'll have no repercussions for this. But there are so many clips of Russini talking shit about her husband on other podcasts and shows. And I remember hearing a podcast where she appeared maybe preseason last year, and she's just like, I'm just a Jersey girl, and I'm just a regular person. And just I was so irked by her just letting you know she's just a down home. And then I know a guy who went to high school with her, and he's like, yeah, there were rumors she was fucking the math teacher.
No, really? See, I like that. Now I'm trying to look, Ed, I don't follow sports. I'm looking at this Diana Russini. This is a score for Mike Vrabel. She's got kind of some strong features. She looks like she's from New Jersey. I'm looking at her. I go, she looks like she's from New Jersey. But this is not bad.
Michelle asked me, is she really good looking? And I said, she would be an attractive mom that you'd see at school.
Totally. Yes. Yeah. If you see her down at the tot lot, you're going to try to make
a movie star, but she's an attractive mom.
Look, you would have sex with her 100%.
Yeah.
Yes. And if you were Mike Vrabel, you would. She's throwing it at you. Why not? I wonder what he told the wife. I'm going to Sedona for guys golf weekend. Then he tells her it's a golf weekend. Does he pack the clubs? He packs the clubs and takes them on the plane and shit. He's got to hump them to the hotel and shit. He's got his golf clubs with him, and he's like, man, this is a pain in the ass, but I need it for the ruse. I need the private eye to get a picture of him with the clubs. I need the clubs.
That's like my college roommate that we found out that he had been fired from his internship. And he still got up and put his tie on and left. And we're like, what is he at the library right now? It was the best. And we'd ask him lots of detailed questions. So today, what did you do? And that
poor son of a bitch.
It was like somebody got the call when he wasn't there. And they're like, we just had to work out the termination agreement of this or that. And so we knew he was not working where he said he was. He's like, man, stuff. Boss is kind of a pain in the ass. And we're like, tell us more about that. Yeah.
You're just digging in. That's so good.
It's no secret that the two of us love the great Ichiro Suzuki.
He's the best.
Just one of the greats.
Yeah.
And
the real hit
Mariners, the real hit king. And the Mariners, justifiably so, honored him with a statue outside their stadium. Unfortunately, the unveiling was marred when his bat snapped as they pulled the cover off.
Oh, yeah.
What materials you're making a statue and like a heavy blanket or whatever broke the bat?
Is this are the tariffs to blame for these for this? Is we're getting less, we're having to use recycled materials or whatever. It's playing a commercial. I want to see the bat break. Also, how long is this commercial? Also, the statues in general, Ed. When are we gonna we got AI now, right? We got all these new. You look back, there was this dude, Michelangelo, Ed, and he would take a block of granite and he would carve in with this is in the fucking 1200s or something, Ed.
Yeah. This dude knew the male anatomy. He knew.
He did.
He knew what he wanted to see.
They would study cadavers, Ed. They would go when they pick up the bodies before they dispose
of men too.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
but they had a feel for a man's body.
They had a lot of assistants. Yeah, they knew that. He's got one where it's like Moses, and he's pointing, and it's this muscle right here, right. And this is flex. That only flexes when you have the pinky pulled in, and it's only my and he made them out of granite, Ed, with tools, with just stone Bronze Age tools, and he would have a hand touching a body, and the body would be dimpled around the hand. They were so beautiful, so perfect, so anatomically correct. And these days we got here
Dwayne
we are.
Wade statue. I Love Lucy.
Yeah,
Ronaldo.
Ronaldo. Magic Johnson looks like Danny Glover. Like, we can't do a single fucking statue. Like, we have 3D printing, Ed. It should be exact. You shouldn't be able to tell the fucking difference. And
Did you see? By the way, did you see the Hulk Hogan statue that they unveiled at like WWE World or something?
No,
Somebody's like, his greatest nightmare. He's been memorialized as a person of color now because he's bronze.
That is going on, by the way. I've been inundated with WrestleMania. WrestleMania is happening this weekend. Hold on, look, the cover. So they have it like covered with like one of those like
heavy like velour blanket or something.
A parachute thing. Oh, there was a thing I wanted to show you. I almost sent you the link, but I didn't because it's just too visual. Oh, and it snapped right off. The last part it came off was the bat. It is a sick pose because it's him. He's left-handed, right? And he's got the bat, and he's like fixing his sleeve.
I think he looks pretty good. It's just they used
real good
shoddy material that they broke the bat with.
There was there's a place out here. It's called Temecula, California, and here's what it's known for: methamphetamines.
Well, that's the place where the guy was going to meet the other guy on Twitter to fight.
To fight about Kobe. Yes. Like, that's all you need to know about Temecula is there are people there that will fight you about Kobe. That's all you need to know. Also, it's like a wild place. It's like not that far, it's like reachable from real. Like, I'm in a real place. I could be to Temecula in like an hour and 15 minutes, like it's not that far. But one thing, and there's a lot of like shitty like wineries, where like Diana Russini and her friends would go for the weekend. There's like a spa with where you drink strawberry wine and, but one thing they're known for also is they have a fucking hot air balloon festival.
Oh no.
And this weekend, or it's just like, I don't know if it's a festival or it's ongoing. Again, I don't go there.
There's two people I know that will never go. 3 people. Yeah. The 2 of us. Yeah. And Dante Stallworth, because we know he had a tough time with hot air balloons.
I would say 99. I would say 100% of black people would not go in a hot air balloon, but Dante Stallworth went in one time, and we're completely stunned. These people, there's this like home video where these people go in their backyard. And I would say crash landed, but for some reason the pilot was able to set down. And it was like not a big palatial backyard. It looked like it was almost like a condo, like just like a little patio.
Yeah.
And they walk outside and there's just a fucking basket of people just sitting there, just standing there in their backyard. 13 people in a basket because the wind died down and the pilot just had to set it down. So they just come out with cameras and the people are like, hey, how's it going? They're not even like getting out of the thing. They're just standing there like waiting for the ride to start again.
Get out of my yard.
Get out of my fucking yard because the wind died and he had to set down. So you're so subject to the wind that you don't know where you're going. So it could blow you onto the freeway.
Who's traveling this by hot air balloon?
Who's doing this as a way to have fun? Let's ask Jason if he's ever been in a hot air balloon.
If he says yes. Would you recommend it? Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Have you ever been in a hot air balloon? Because he's a real adrenaline junkie, which is weird because he's
fun kind of. I'm not into skydiving, but I get that is a rush for people who want to do that kind of thing.
Sure.
But hot air balloon is just the bad kind of rush. What?
Yes. Yeah, I might die. I could die. There's a Vietnam vet with PTSD wearing a leather vest, and he's calling himself the pilot of this thing. The rest of the guys are some fucking meth heads holding ropes, and then they're like, "Oh, we're gonna make it go up. How? Right. With fire. We're gonna set it on fire. Well, what if it catches fire? It shouldn't. I mean, sometimes it does. It's okay. If it does, I'll just set it down. Where? This asshole's backyard."
Temecula.
In Temecula. Get the fuck out of here. What else is going on there?
Pacers injured player Tyrese Halliburton. He explained his weight gain after a recent picture, living in shingles, in a new video after the trending photo.
Look, people that listen to this show from a couple years ago will know I've had shingles, and I do not. Zero stars.
Once you told me about it,
yeah.
I have asked my doctor, and they're like, not till you turn 50. I have a physical on Wednesday, and I will be getting the shingles. But I have thought about it since, because I think I was 48 when you told me about it.
Yes.
And so I kept asking my doctor, I'm like, hey, can I get the shingles vaccine? They're like, why would 50. You need it before 50? I was like, I know somebody who had it.
Yeah. I was not 50 when I had it. I got shingles. It was on my back. It fucking sucked, but I only had it for like a couple weeks. Because remember, I talked about on the show, I'm not a big doctor guy. I thought I had a spider bite. But then the spider bite, it was like a cluster of spider bites. And then the next day there was a second cluster and it was a different shape. And I'm like, I'm going to the doctor for this. So I go to the doctor and they gave me the meds, and somebody emailed the show and they were like, dude, you're so lucky, because then it sucked, but it was gone in like 10 days. Somebody emailed the show and they're like, I didn't go get the medicine. I had this shit for 6 months. So this is what this Tyrese Halliburton is dealing with. This is also what I like about basketball players, because they're out there running the court every night. They're burning, and also they fuck a lot. So they're burning a lot of fucking calories. So these guys, like, you know, it's well known that like every team in the league has a selection of PB and J's in the locker room, and these guys are just throwing down PB and J's before the game for the energy. And they go out there and they run all night so they can eat whatever the fuck they want. But then they stop, usually their career ends, you know? And it's like Kevin Duckworth was kind of fat when he was in the league. Then he retires and he looks like Walter Hudson, RIP. You can't sustain that 9,000 calorie day. And this is what this Tyrese Halliburton is learning, because he blows out his Achilles in the NBA finals, and now he's fat as hell and he's got shingles. You got to start taking care of yourself. He's a young guy too.
Well, I hope he takes his time coming back, because he really hurt the Knicks in the playoffs last year.
Really did. I know. Yes.
Our boy Guy Fieri. Oh, by the way,
tell me.
Thank you to our friend David in Salt Lake.
Oh, right. He sent us that sauce. Yes.
Sent us that sauce.
I'm going to make some chicken wings. I got to get out some chicken wings. I'm going to use that Guy Fieri sauce.
Yet, but yeah, I'm excited. Yeah. And my son saw it on the counter. He's like, hey, when are you going to do something with that? I was like, that's right. You know, if you feel up to it, maybe you could do something. But yeah, this week I'm going to use that sauce.
Yeah, throw down some Guy Fieri sauce. I can't wait. Yeah.
But Guy Fieri was filmed chumming it up with the rapey kickboxer bro Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan at an MMA fight in Miami last weekend. Yeah. And he got a lot of negative feedback, like, why are you hanging out with those pieces of shit? Sure. And he since posted on social media that he is devastated by the backlash.
Well,
like, I don't even know who they are.
Yeah. So somebody sent me, it was our dear friend of the show, Squeegee Third Eye.
Okay.
Well, I think occasionally posts some of our clips to Twitter. I could be confusing him with somebody else, but Squeegee Third Eye sent me a picture of the G-Man with his cigar. You're allowed to smoke cigar. I guess it's Miami, so you can do whatever you want. But he's smoking a cigar. He's like at the thing, and he's shaking hands with the. I thought this Andrew Tate was in prison.
I think there was a lot of talk that he got out in Amsterdam. Like, I think he was like
Romania.
Oh, it was Eastern.
But it's not illegal to traffic women in Romania, right? You just put them in, you pay a guy and he puts them in the thing and he sends them to the Baltimore Harbor, and then somebody accidentally plugs the thing and then they're all dead. But then it's okay, just give me another shipment, you know? Like, right.
Yeah, Frank Sabatka has to deal with that.
Right, Frank Sabatka. So, but he's out, I guess. Like, if you're going to get arrested.
He's glad-handing the G-Man.
You know, let's close off the G-Man, then we'll talk about me. So he sends me this thing and he's like, look, fuck Guy Fieri, you know, he's glad handing with these dudes. And I'm like, look, we need to hear from Guy Fieri, because we know Guy Fieri to be a good dude, and he's not going to support a sex trafficker.
Sure.
Also, Guy Fieri's a big brand. He's got his own sauce. He's what do we know about him? Family man. He's got his sons, Hunter and Ryder, which of course are
he lives every day in honor of his beloved sister.
Morgan, he taps the tattoo on his shoulder. There's even I was in the Cabo airport, and there's a fucking, at the Guy Fieri restaurant, there's a giant mural of the tattoo of his sister in the Cabo airport. The guy is just a good dude. He's been married to the same woman this whole time. Salt of the earth. So look, what all of a sudden he hangs out with sex traffickers? I'm not buying it. And then he put out a tweet, I think, or as Jason would call it, an X. He put out an X, and he said, and he goes, I'm devastated. He goes, I don't know who these guys are. Like, this guy asked me to shake his hand. I didn't know who he was. And look, I believe you think Guy Fieri's fucking around in the manosphere on his fucking phone? Like, this guy's got $300 million in the bank. You think he's trying to fucking max his testosterone and try to get more bitches? Like, this is not Guy Fieri's lane. So I choose to believe the man just based on his track record.
I believe him in the sense that I'm only sort of aware of Tate, but more on like the stories about him. If I saw Andrew Tate, he wouldn't look much different than just random people I pass on the sidewalk.
Absolutely. Yes.
So I believe him in that. I don't know if in the right context, like I wouldn't know who they are, the Tate brothers.
Me either. I didn't even know there was a second Tate.
I didn't either. Apparently he's problematic too.
Yes, of course they do the trafficking together. They traffic as a team. I did watch the Louis Theroux Manosphere doc because I thought I have not watched it. I thought I would get some material out of it, maybe for bonus bri, but it is just kind of like, I mean, the internet is disgusting, Ed. Like, it's just guys. It's just these guys. And they prey on these young boys, like, and not like the way the Catholic Church does, but also almost like in a way that's worse. They walk around with a fucking camera crew, and this one of them lives in like Mallorca or somewhere, he's British, and because he's on the run because he gotten some car accidents in his Lamborghini or something in England. He can't go back, so he's in Mallorca and he's filming content. And here's what he does. He's like, you got to, to be a man, you got to fucking do this shit. And then he's like, you also got to invest in my crypto. And the crypto's a fucking huge ripoff. But it's like he's got so many people following him. And also, it's a lot of them are like, buy my plan, and you're gonna get some pussy down the road, And it's like these dumb kids with no one like investing any time in them.
No guidance. And they're going to fall for the Ponzi scheme that is crypto and
male role models. Yeah. And so they're looking and they're like, oh, this guy's fit. He's with all these women. He treats them like shit. And that's how I'm going to be. And so, and Louis Theroux is very funny. Like he's makes it, he's the most interesting part of it. Cause he's a strange person. But I wouldn't, you're not really going to get anything out of it. Here's the second thing. I mean, I like the UFC because I like to watch like the dudes fighting each other. But now it's like it's become like a total like right wing sport. Like they're having one at the White House, Ed, and it's
like 4th of July celebration.
Yeah, I can't support that. I just can't get with it. It's unsettling. It gives me a bad feeling. So like, and the Andrew Tate's there. He's like hosted there, like get the fuck out of here with that bullshit.
Yeah, I'm not into MMA, but it's just because I'm not into MMA. But like the NFL does the rah-rah right-wing bullshit too. It's like true. I just happen to like football. So like it's just not my thing. But you're gonna have garbage politicization of anything, like whatever.
It's enough already that we're doing the flyover and that, like it's
troops, even though we're making them pay. So we don't actually care. We just want their money.
Right. And we're fucking sending them over there to fucking die for Israel. And like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Anyway, let's do some voice mails.
He's so easy to hate. Your time he likes to waste. His calls are far from great. His calls are far from great. He's such a stupid fuck. He seems down on his luck. His voicemails really suck. His voicemails really suck. No one's enjoying him. He's so annoying. Plus so fucking boring and worthless, but he's got nothing else to do. And he's even worse than ish. His thoughts are useless shit. He's fat and got big tits. He's Manuel in Gardenia.
One voicemail this week. Let's check in.
Yo, ballers. It's Ben 906 here.
Ben,
Just listening
Ben
to the
906.
Solo Bry show and getting caught up on all things Bry.
That's right.
Just wanted to talk about the Jelly Roll and what's really actually more tragic about him.
So Ed, one of the things on my list was Jelly Roll. Jelly Roll,
What,
who's
his age?
what is his age?
No, didn't you send me like a month ago? Like his reported age is shocking compared to what he looks like.
I think he's like 40 or like, yeah. Well, look, everything about him, he sucks. He's like Avatar, Ed, right? Like you don't know a single person that's a fan of him. You don't know a single song that he does. You don't know 41. You don't know, like, he just showed up and all of a sudden he's like the most popular thing, just like the movie Avatar, which it can't be true. Cause it's like, I don't know anybody.
Like, I don't know anyone into him. My kids aren't into him. Like, I don't.
He sells out Staples Center. How's that possible? That's impossible. We're being lied to about Jelly Roll. So I assume this is what Ben 906 is talking about.
Is his wife. If you don't know what she looks like, you go ahead and Google that. And
come on, Ben.
She is actually probably more, I would say I'm more sympathetic to the Jelly Roll of having to be with that thing.
Jeez.
Wow. I'm sure she's nice.
I mean,
whatever.
There's somebody for everybody out there, Ben 906. Like, I'm not going to shame him. He's found love, whatever. Like, he can do his thing. But like, why am I subjected to all things Jelly Roll all the time? What? I don't look for his content. All I get is what's up with Jelly Roll every single day of my life, and I'm not here for it. Okay, thank you for that, Ben 906. That's it for the free portion of the show. We appreciate you listening. We would ask you to maybe consider subscribing to our Patreon, the patreon.com/The Baller Lifestyle Podcast. The Patreon portion of the show begins now.
Well, it's time for non-sports segment on the Baller Lifestyle Podcast. Non-sports. I'm talking about the segment now. Non-sports segment.
Update. Jason Stewart has not been in a hot air balloon.
Okay, good for him.
But I've asked if he would consider it, and I would say that he would, because Ed, he has bungee jumped. We did a Bachelor season where they were in New Zealand.
It's big down there off the big bridge, and
yes, and they were doing a thing where they went up. It was like kind of like that tower in Seattle. What's that thing called?
Needle?
The Space Needle. It was like that. There was like a restaurant at the top. And then afterward, to get down, they clipped you into a thing and you didn't rappel backwards, which is bad enough. You ran forward straight down the side of the building, lashed to a thing, hundreds of feet in the air. And Jason's like, and the Bachelor, some piece of shit on the Bachelor was like trying to force he's like, come on, bitch, run down the thing. Like Andrew Tate told me I could do it. Like he bullied this poor girl into running down the thing with him. And Jason Stewart's like, I would do that. He thought it looked fun because he doesn't have a thing. See, he said, sure, he would go on a hot air balloon. Yeah.
So my thing, just like skydiving, bungee, like I get adrenaline people would be into that. there's no part of me that is even remotely curious about that. But I do not understand why anyone would do a hot air balloon. I'm saying if you're into the rush of, hey,
Yes,
I'm plummeting and I get that. But like, if everything goes well in a hot air balloon, you're just kind of like drifting along in a basket with random strangers.
Looking
and,
at Temecula.
A Vietnam vet.
Yeah. There's the 91 freeway down there, guys.
Yeah.
How about that?
Cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
people driving to work. Like, what do you fucking get? And I can't even imagine what it costs. It's probably a couple $100 to get on that thing, Ed.
Sure. For what? The most boring time of your life.
Yeah, you could buy a ticket to a ball game. You could you could go buy some groceries. You could stay the night. You could go to Sedona and stay in a hotel.
You go sit next to Guy Fieri.
You could go hang out with Guy Fieri at the UFC. Yes, in Miami. Smoke a cigar. Fucking hot air balloon.
I can't believe you can just smoke a cigar inside in Miami.
Well, it was stunning. Because it's like you go to Europe or Vegas, and people are smoking everywhere. But even Vegas, it's like I think most of the casinos. Yeah, but in the arena, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm making up that he had a cigar. I'm pretty sure he had one. But it's like Dave Chappelle. He smokes a cigarette wherever he fucking goes. Who's gonna tell Dave Chappelle? No, sorry, Dave, you can't have a cigarette. Ha, yeah, all right, fuck off.
Yeah, that's true. American Pie star Shannon Elizabeth is joining OnlyFans. She's 52 years old. I haven't seen recent pictures. I'm sure she still looks great, and I'm sure she'll make a lot of money. However, if OnlyFans was a thing in like 1998, right after American Pie, she'd be one of the richest people in America.
Because she exposed those implants. I mean, what an actress! What a performance in that American Pie.
Everyone was. Yes. She was like the front cover of Maxim and FHM and all those boys magazines. She was the thing.
She had two lines in the movie, but she dropped those implants. No fucking problem. And I mean, what's taken her so long? Because I don't know what she's been up to in the last 30 years, but she should have done this by now.
But even 5 years ago, whenever Drea De Matteo and you found out she immediately made money, it's that day she should have been like, well, fuck it, I'll do it.
Let's get on.
She's going to make a ton of money still because there are guys of our age that very much remember those days.
Yeah, because they'll do the $10. They're not going to do because you got to ramp up the content. Because I'm like, I've known a few friends that are like, I'm going to start up OnlyFans for people like Paul so they can buy pictures of my feet. And I'm like, look, sweetheart, everybody thinks they have the most beautiful feet in the world, and they can have OnlyFans for their feet, and they're going to make $1 zillion. But guess what? You're not. If you want to make some money off those feet, you got to let somebody fuck your feet. That's where the money is. You got to be freaky with the feet. That's just how it is. You got to show your feet and your pussy, that's just how it works. I'm sorry. I don't want to be the one to break it to you, but you're not just going to fucking snap pictures of your fucking pedicure and make $1 million. You're not. You got to up the ante. Similarly, there are probably a few people that will buy, she could maybe make $1 million or whatever off the initial $10 that everybody gets to see her titties. But if she wants to keep that income going, Bonnie Blue style, she's gonna have to start fucking 1,000 guys on camera. That's just how. I'm sorry. This is the world we live in.
We're a society full of gateway drugs. You need to progress. You can't stay stagnant.
It's not like back in the day where Christy Swanson, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, or even better, Katarina Witt. Dropped in Playboy with that big old bush, she had that big old German bush in there, and you're like, holy shit, Katarina Witt. And it was like you could do they would pay these celebrities $500,000 or whatever to take pictures of their big hairy bush. It's just that world is over, it's just not there anymore. I'm sad to say. I wish it was and it felt, Ed, it felt dirty at the time. But you know what? It was wholesome. That bush was wholesome as hell, considering what we're doing now.
and then it was just the imagination takes over. Now everything is out there, graphic and for free. So if you want people to pay, there's no imagination. Like you got to show stuff.
You gotta show the lips. You gotta show the asshole. You know, like it's like that. That's just how it works. You know, and I'm here. I should be managing these pages for these people because I know what sells. All right. I'll call up my buddy Paul and be like, "Hey, Paul, what are you into besides feet?" And he'll be like, "Oh, I'm into people getting their armpit fucked." And I'm like, "Boom, that's gonna sell." You know, we got to put that on there. So you know, it's more than that. Shannon Elizabeth's gonna have to step her game up a little bit.
Junkie who stole ex-police chief's sex toys tried to visit Gilgo Beach serial killer for bizarre sit-down. That is refrigerator magnet word salad. What is that headline?
It's crazy.
Where's Gilgo Beach?
That's in Long Island.
Gilgo Beach?
The Gilgo Beach killer. This is your Long Island serial killer, Ed. Have you not been following? I was expecting you to know all about this.
I don't know. Oh, this is the serial killer? Oh,
yes.
They got the Long Island Gilgo. Oh, yeah, Suffolk County.
Now,
right.
I feel like they don't let you.
Oh my goodness! Look at his mugshot or whatever.
Now what?
Maybe a hospital.
Because that looks like a toupee. But do they let you keep your toupee? I guess they do because Phil Spector was wearing all those wigs to his trial every day.
That is.
Oh my God, Ed. Did Ed's internet go out? Let's see if he signs back in. We lost it. Look, have you guys looked up the Gilgo Beach serial killer? Stunning that this guy who's not the Gilgo Beach. Oh, Ed entered the studio. Add to stage. What happened? Did your internet go out?
It like did one of those my Chrome
updates?
My Chrome updated or something. I'm like, what's happening? Yeah. But the last image I saw, which is the last image some of these victims saw, was that the serial killer's toupee.
Yeah. That we got to assume that's a toupee, right? Like it's
whose hair looks like that?
No one's. And this guy, he's like 70 years old. Now, also, Ed, this guy was an architect in Manhattan. And he lived in
the structural
yes. You have the buildings
integrity of these buildings.
There's probably bodies in those buildings. But also, he lived in a fucking dump in Long Island. Like there's pictures of the house and just a real shithole. And he would like send because he had a family. He would like send his wife and children like out on the town or out of town. He'd probably send them to Sedona. He'd go, "Hey, why don't you guys take a weekend in Sedona with my architect money?
Go see Vrabel and Russini."
Yeah, make sure you're not followed. And then he would go out, and then he would get a Craigslist threesome guy will know about this. He would get a Craigslist hooker, sex worker, and then he would murder and he would dump her out there on the Long Island Expressway or whatever.
In the reeds, they would be like in the like the swampland.
That's like where they got that's where they got Sonny Corleone, right? At the toll booth on the LIE, you know? And he's out there. And then Ed, because this guy, the Gilgo Beach killer, can't remember his name. It's here somewhere. He would go to like his local Long Island watering holes, and he'd be sitting there at the bar. And he'd just start chatting everybody up about, "Hey, what do you guys think about this serial killer, huh? What, like, you hear he got another one right here down the road, not far from my house, as a matter of fact." Like, this is the thing. What do we know about Dennis Rader? Like, well, he made you keep your lawn well mowed. We know
rules.
Yeah.
He cared about the rules.
Yes, he was a church going man.
Had a little mini comb for the mustache.
He did. But these guys, they're proud of their accomplishments.
Sure.
You know, like they're sending Zodiac, you know, they're sending letters to the fucking news about what a good job they're doing at these murders. And this Gilgo Beach guy, he was doing the same thing. He was going around as the dive bars in Long Island, chatting people up about all the murders he did. And nobody put 2 and 2 together until I think one of the moms of the dead girls.
The guy with the weird
hair.
toupee,
Yeah.
he's creeping everyone out, but he's talking about doing bad things. But like, I'm sure all these murders in Massapequa are just coincidental.
That's the thing. If you're going to do murders, you got to murder people that nobody cares about, sadly,
Right.
which is prostitutes. They're barely going
to bring it back to Jay Stu when he was in that movie about the Green River Killer or whatever.
Yeah.
He was killing sex workers that nobody really thought about on the Tacoma Parkway or whatever, the highway.
This is the East Coast Virgin, Ed. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
This is same. Yeah. R.I.P. Or no, not R.I.P.
Just
R.I.P. like the 8 chicks that he killed, but this guy's going to prison.
Definitely R.I.P. to them. Yeah. Texas mom of 3 accused of helping her husband run a prostitution ring catering to cops out of their family home.
Wow.
Brian. I thought they were sworn to uphold the law.
Right.
These guys
they're,
don't follow the rules.
They're snorting fentanyl at the crime scene.
If you see them at the crime scene, they're clearly working on cyber crimes because they're all on their phones.
They're doing cyber crimes.
Always worried about cyber crimes. Like the subway. I took the subway 2 days ago, and it was yesterday. And there's 20 guys on their phones. I'm like, man, they must be up to something. Big sting.
There was just one here recently, Ed, where they like chased. There was a car chase. They love doing car chases, and half the time the car chase ends up killing a fucking innocent victim. But this one didn't. I think they did the spikes, and then the person wouldn't come out of the car, so they got all their military equipment. They got their robot dogs and their tanks, and because they love to play with their toys. Normally, they only get to use the stick or the taser. So then they love the stick of the taser, but they want to play with because they have unlimited budgets. These police forces. So they're like, get us the tank, bring in the tank. We pulled over a crazy person. We need a tank for this. And they showed them setting up, and they got their like news helicopters over, and all the SWAT set up with their fucking sniper rifles and shit. And they zoom in on this guy, and he's on his fucking phone. He's fucking scrolling Hinge. He's looking to make a date for later in the night. They zoomed and look,
he gets bailed out.
He's not going to get in trouble for this. He's got a strong union, and we back the blue in this country. I backed the blue since they let me out of that ticket, and they also gave me a water on the trail. So look, I'm a big backer of the blue. Everybody knows this. These guys, they're just, what are they doing? What are we doing with these cops? They're just scrolling Hinge. They're beating people with sticks. They're not doing the shit we hired them to do. There was just one a couple days ago where a couple of the NYPD guys, who are the fucking worst, are just beating the shit out of a guy in a bodega.
Yes.
Yeah. The guy committed no crime.
And guess what?
He didn't do anything wrong.
Guess what? New York City, so far this year, has had the safest year in their recorded history. And the one big crime that we've seen on tape so far this year was committed by cops. By cops.
Yes, exactly. What else, Ed? Besides
RFK Jr. is at it again.
What is this guy, Ed? What is this guy?
He cut off a dead raccoon's penis while his family waited in the car. So he said so he could study it later. He doesn't have that educational background. What is he studying?
Is this when he was on crack? Because he was on crack that's why we got that voice from the crack, Ed. He was smoking all the crack, and it fucking ruined his vocal cords. What? Yeah, got to be on. Like, I don't. The other morning
studying. He doesn't have the background in. What is he studying?
He was fucking it, Ed.
Yeah.
Remember, he did the bear too. Wasn't there a bear also? And there was something. He dumped something in Central Park.
No, the bear in Central Park, and then there was also a whale. They had to saw a whale because he wanted to keep part of it. What? This guy, the drugs fried his brain.
He's a rich lawyer, Ed.
Kennedy.
He's a Kennedy. One of the great piece of shit families in the history of this country. And they don't even speak to him. They're like, come on, you're embarrassing us. Your uncle.
You never said this to Ted, who just drowned Mary Jane Kopechne.
Yes.
They didn't kick him out. Him, they're like RFK Jr. You're like, oh my God, you're really bumming us out.
Yeah. Your dad and your uncle were Eiffel Towering the movie
Marilyn
star.
Monroe.
Yeah.
And then they had her killed.
Yes. Then they had her killed. Then
jammed her with barbiturates when she started to threaten that she was going to talk about it.
She was going to talk. She was in bed with the mob, and so were they. So they're like, "Hey, take care of this for us." Then his other uncle drowns accidentally. His secretary
goes home, sobers up, gets some sleep, takes a nice shower, shave, shows up at the police office, and he's at the police station. He's like, "Hey, I drove off the side of the road. We might need to rescue Mary Jane."
When was this? 19 hours ago. Yeah. But don't worry.
I'm willing to give a sobriety test if you want to do it now.
Of course. Yeah.
Sleeping.
And meanwhile, this RFK is they embrace those members of their family. And this one, they're like, hey, come on.
It's just too fucking weird.
Yeah. Don't come to my wedding. This is embarrassing.
Or how about what they did to the aunt where she had some problems. She was very they gave her the what do you call it? The
lobotomized her.
Lobotomized her.
Yeah.
Hey, she was fingering herself at the dinner table, and they're like, we got to cut out her brain.
This is embarrassing. Yeah. Meanwhile, it was probably fetal alcohol syndrome because those Kennedys they're all a bunch of booze bags.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Huge booze bag. And look, he's the one sober one. Why is he sober? Because he smoked so much crack. It fried his vocal cords. And now he's cutting off raccoons' dicks.
Studying.
A friend of mine texted me last weekend, and she's like, there's an eviscerated possum in my front yard. Like the coyotes murdered it and then
just left the carcass.
Ate it. Yeah. And it was like on the grass. And she's like, I called and this is in LA. She's like, I called the number, and it's a 2-hour wait just on the phone. Just the phone. And she's like, what do I do? And I'm like, sell it, burn the house down. Like, what do you like, there's nothing. So she boxed it up. And I'm like, I would not be like, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. The couple of rats I've had to deal with. Here's what I do. I take an empty 12-pack box and I throw it over the rat so I don't have to look at it. And then I come with a shovel and get it like into the box so I don't have to see it. But it takes a couple tries. And then if I can feel the shovel touching the rat, I fucking freak out and run away. Yeah.
Gross.
Yes.
I just thought of one more Kennedy. Remember there was some Kennedy that died when they were playing football on skis?
Yes.
Oh, what are they doing? They're playing football on skis?
I think this was his cousin. There was also that other one.
Rapey one. There were lots of rapey ones.
Raped and murdered the girl in high school.
Smith.
Yes. And there was another one. That just did there's one that did a rape and murder, and then there was one that just did a rape.
Yeah.
Yeah. So look. These Kennedys. Enough with the Kennedys. All right.
Maybe a culling of the Kennedy name.
Here's what we do, Ed. I got an idea. $1 million idea right here. We take all the Kennedys, we get them all together on an island, say Nantucket. Okay, they got a place there. We get them all at the compound there.
I'll send them to Martha's Vineyard is their place.
Yeah, Martha's Vineyard. We send them to the vineyard. Then we ignite the vineyard. The end.
We keep one Martha's Vineyard resident there.
Dave Portnoy.
Oh, Alan Dershowitz.
Oh yeah, yes. Get them all together. Yes, for that. I support that.
3 people were sentenced to jail for a bear suit insurance scam. They dressed up as a bear and then attacked rental cars.
I just hold on a second, because this is look. No one in the suit of a thing looks like the thing, It's
right. They look like Trading Places gorilla.
Right, the best. The best. Wasn't that Jim Belushi? I believe Jim Belushi is.
Jim Belushi was the one who he was dressed as a gorilla. Then they knocked out Clarence
Oh.
Beeks and put him in Jim Belushi's costume.
That's
So
what it
the
was.
other gorilla that looked very fake
Bud fucked him.
would fuck
Yeah.
Clarence Beeks to death on the way back to Africa.
3 people sentenced to jail for bear suit insurance scam in California. Like, people are trying to make a buck out here, Ed. When it comes to the California Department of Insurance, don't poke the bear. That is the lesson 3 individuals in Los Angeles learned recently when they were sentenced to jail time for an insurance fraud scheme in which they staged attacks on high-end vehicles by having a person dress up in a bear costume, then pretending that person was an actual bear. Oh, this is foolproof, Ed. Well, how did they get caught? This is like perfectly executed plan.
I'm a little scared. I want to report bear, but also I noticed the bear was using Hinge on his phone. So I don't know. Maybe like we should study the bear for his intelligence and randiness.
I'm looking at the bear costume, and the claws are those things that they use to tear apart meat. Like if you make a brisket or a pork,
like
shoulder,
if you pulled pork or you need shredded chicken, like
you need the claws.
Yeah,
The plan unraveled. I can't believe this plan unraveled after the 4 defendants in the case filed an insurance claim in 2024 claiming that the bear had damaged a 2010 Rolls-Royce Ghost, going so far as to provide a video of the alleged attack inside the car parked at Lake Arrowhead in the San Bernardino Mountains. It turned out that the ursine figure in the video was, in fact, a human. What may have looked unbelievable turned out to be exactly that. And now those responsible, like, Ed, how much cocaine was used in the hatching of this plan?
Yeah.
Like, how do you get several people together and go, I got this. Like, we're going to get the money for the Rolls Royce, but we need some proof. Dave, remember that bear suit remember when you were the mascot in high school you guys were the Grizzlies? Yeah. Can you get the bear suit? Let's get the bear suit. And I know it didn't have claws, but we could get those things. Go to the kitchen. Get the pull apart things. We'll use those for the claws.
You remember last week when I made that great shredded pork?
I used the claws for that.
Use those. And then when they get caught, I'd like to report, this bear fucked up my Rolls Royce. But I see the bear now checking OnlyFans and jacking off to Shannon Elizabeth over there. So could you arrest the bear, horny bear?
Confusing. I just can't believe these people got caught. But what else, Ed? Final story.
Finally, we got an update on one of the heroes of the year. Quadruple amputee cornhole player Dayton Weber. He was pictured with a swastika scar days before gunning down his pal. He was also shown snorting yayo from a $1 bill. He's a man of the people. He wasn't using hundreds or 20s.
Yeah, no,
$1 bill.
$1 bill. He the video is great because it's interesting because he can fire a gun with the nub.
It's impressive watching this guy doing stuff.
He really can. Like, he's really good with the cornhole with the nubs. He flops it up there but what he can't do, Ed, because you need the opposable thumbs to roll up the dollar bill.
Right.
So he for some reason he's standing on his upper nubs. He's upside down, but you can't really tell the difference because he's nubbed up on both sides.
Stand, but with cocaine.
Yeah, exactly. He's doing a keg stand, which I know from reading the great Jerry Stahl's book. I think it's called Permanent Midnight. They made a movie of it.
Yes.
With Ben Stiller. He at one point was doing so much heroin that he wanted to do opium. And so he shoved it up his ass and then he stood on his head so that the opium would like sink into his colon so it wouldn't come out. He wouldn't accidentally push it out. This appears to be what the nubber man is doing. He's standing on his head and while somebody like zoots the cocaine into his nose for him while he's standing upside down, which is like, as somebody who may have or may not have partaken in cocaine, is like, I didn't know this was an option. I didn't know there was a headstand version of doing blow. Like, it's like, this is this guy's coming up. He's inventing new things. And look, he shot his friend But he seems to like just be living his best life, or we're just finding out more about him.
The swastika part I didn't like to hear because I was starting to really get on board with him.
Right.
But
he seems really mad.
Not cool with Nazis.
Yeah,
he's very angry, which, listen, I'd be pretty fucking angry too.
It would suck. Dealt that hand. Did we learn? Did he lose? He wasn't born that way, Ed. This is like he got a something.
I think it was a disease, like a childhood disease or something.
Yeah, could have been. Look, very sad, unfair. Very sad. Yeah,
but don't turn into a Nazi.
Please don't.
Doing so much. He was doing so much to really get us on board.
Yeah, like this just an added, it's like Guy Fieri shaking hands with the Tate brothers. We just can't get. But we were with you up until a point.
Yes.
Anyway, that's it. Great job, Ed Daly.
Good job, us.
NBA basketball. Knicks won game 1. How about the Lakers?
Yeah.
Lakers put it on the Rockets. Now, that's probably the only game they'll win this series.
No, I think they're going to be in good shape.
Okay, I like to hear that. For Ed Daly, my name is Brian Beckner. This has been episode number 616 of the Baller Lifestyle Podcast. We'll see you next week.
Goodbye.
Podcast getting bigger and not smaller. Broadcasting weekly, that's what we do. With Easy Ed Daly and a man Jay Stu and Brian Beckner. Quick dissect the week in sports and culture and whatever.